Greetings and welcome to my Archie Sonic issue 26 review. Yep, one issue after our first milestone of the series. As you can see by the cover, Sonic is facing off against something a number of us can either love or hate. Wintry weather. So let's dive headfirst into the blistering cold. We begin, funny enough, with the Freedom Fighters having a bit of fun amidst a summer heat wave, as Sonic splashes them with water. Though Sonic really should be paying attention to where he's running. Thankfully, he stopped before hitting a family of ducks. This fun, and the heat wave, comes to an end with the arrival of a cold front followed by a snow shower. Nicole explains this weather change is artificial, which means Robotnik is responsible. His newest plan is to use his weather annihilator to make everything really cold. Then use the infrared detector to find any living thing with body heat. He hopes to find the Freedom Fighters this way. I don't know, Robotnik. Wouldn't just freezing them be a viable strategy, as we see the group struggling while they make their way back to Knothole? They eventually have to take shelter in a nearby cave to try and warm up, but it doesn't seem to be working. We head back over to Robotnik picking up the Freedom Fighter's signature with the infrared detector. Okay, I guess he wanted to make sure they're frozen personally. Makes sense, in a sick way. He arrives at the cave to find no one's there. That's because prior to his arrival, someone else showed up and led the group below the cave floor, where it's much warmer. The rescuer, a penguin named Flip, takes them to his friends, Guinevere the wolf, Augustus the polar bear, Irma the ermine, and Sela the seal. They originally hailed from Mobius's Arctic region and went south to visit friends and family. Then Robotnik's takeover happened, and they couldn't journey back north. They hid in the caves, the walls prevented Robotnik's scanners from finding them, and they salvaged some Robotnik tech to create an artificial Arctic environment for themselves. And for the second time in this story, Sonic isn't paying attention while running. This time he slides right into the artificial snow. You're lucky you didn't get hurt this time, Sonic. Despite our hero's misstep, he still wants to go out and stop Robotnik. But there's still that pesky weather problem. Guinevere and his friends will help the Freedom Fighters adapt to the chilly environment. A week later, the Freedom Fighters are out, wearing wintry clothes, and catapulting large snowballs at Robotnik. He heads back to the weather annihilator to crank up the cold to freezing levels. Or wouldn't it be cranked down because... whatever. Snively, who hasn't done anything right this story, takes this chance to redeem himself. He takes one of the blasters the SWAT bots were carrying earlier, and in a sneak attack, freezes the team in a solid block of ice. Just before he can deliver them to Robotnik with the snowplow, our hero's Arctic friends arrive to save them. Again. Augustus and Guinevere chase Snively out of the vehicle, Flip trips the SWAT bots on the ice, and Irma and Sela are working on freeing the Freedom Fighters. Sonic has other plans. He wants to be placed on the catapult and tossed towards the top of the weather annihilator, giving Robotnik a literal headache in the process. Sonic spin dashes into the machine, and once destroyed, the weather starts returning to normal. The two groups say their goodbyes. The Arctic guys head back north using Robotnik's vehicle, and Sonic's friends throw the remaining snowballs at him because he, ironically, suggested a snowball fight. Sonic, buddy, you gotta really start paying attention. Otherwise, you might trip and end up getting hurt. See what I mean? Actually, we've moved on to the second story of the issue. It begins with Sonic spraining his ankle while the Freedom Fighters were exploring a mountain, which is bad since Robotnik is hunting them down. A bit contrived, but it's for the sake of the story. The Freedom Fighters come across an old fortress built by one of Sally's ancestors. Well, Bunny was the one who accidentally found the place. Hey, she's gotta make up for her absence in the first story. Not that it would do them much good. Robotnik could easily break through the wood, and the fort's only defenses are a bunch of old cannons that couldn't dent the machinery. But it does have a blacksmith shop that impresses Rotor. So that's something. Actually, that will be something. After Bunny seals the front gate and Sally compliments on her strength, Bunny confesses that sometimes she wishes she was fully Robotnik so she can take on Robotnik's forces. This gives Sonic an idea. He tells Rotor to take out a pocket laser because it's time to do some blacksmithing. Sometime later, Robotnik plows through the front gate to capture our heroes. Instead, he finds one individual, Robo Bunny, ready to fight. As you can see, Rotor took parts of the cannon and the blacksmith oven to fashion a suit of armor for her organic parts. It proves effective as she mows down the SWAT bots with ease. The one downside to having additional armor is, it tends to slow one down due to the extra weight. Robotnik orders Snively to run her down. Don't worry, Bunny has a handle on the situation. She extends her legs upward, letting the vehicle crash through the wall, and it heads straight down the mountain. The story and issue ends with everyone patting themselves on the back for a job well done. These two stories, written by Angelo de Carcier Angelo, seem to share a common theme. Put our heroes in a situation where they have to work harder to defeat Robotnik. Can't rely on Sonic's speed all the time. Heck, the second story took out Sonic's speed altogether. The first story had our heroes, minus Bunny, face the awful winter weather courtesy of Robotnik. A situation that Robotnik might have won if not for the intervention of the Arctic group. Some of you are probably wondering why Rotor would be affected by the cold, since he is a walrus, an Arctic animal. I mean, in the future, we'll see Rotor in the Arctic, and he will not be shivering in the cold. If you want a real-world explanation, it's for the sake of the story. In-universe, you could say, due to Rotor living in the temperate area of Mobius since childhood, he probably had trouble readjusting to the extreme cold fairly quickly, and had to be trained to adapt along with the other freedom fighters. Even then, the training wasn't enough against a direct freeze ray blast, and the Arctic group had to come to the rescue again. At least Sonic was the one to ultimately resolve the situation. I call them this because they're not technically freedom fighters yet. They were just poor schmoes who were in the wrong place at the wrong time. They are a resourceful bunch though, finding caves that Robotnik couldn't scan, salvage Robotnik tech to recreate their home conditions, and train and provide the freedom fighters with warmer attire. In return, the freedom fighters inspired confidence in the group, enough to join in the final battle. And once they return to the Arctic, they will officially become freedom fighters. I question why a penguin, which is usually an Antarctic animal, is among them, but again, considering Rotor moved to more temperate areas, I wouldn't be surprised if Flip moved to the other pole for reasons. We will be seeing this group again in the future, and some members will have expanded roles. Take Sela for instance. She didn't speak in the story, but she will in her other appearances. If you're wondering based on her outfit, she does have a French accent. Too bad we didn't get to see her and Antoine interact on panel. Same thing with the character Irma. No speaking role here, but we'll get one in the future. Along with an attitude that, you know what, I'll save it for the right moment. Augustus would have the opposite effect. Talkative in the early stories, silent in the later ones. I guess they want to go for the strong silent type. The story gets an 8. Despite my nitpicking, it is actually a fun adventure that introduces a bunch of new characters that are pretty likable in my opinion, and I'll be glad to see them return down the line. Too bad Bunny missed out on this Winterfest. She may or may not have gotten the group out of the ice blocks. Her actions in the second story more than make up for it. Not only did she thwart Robotnik's capture attempt, she was the one that discovered the fort in the first place. The other freedom fighters deserve some credit in solving the problem. Sally's comment on Bunny's strength leading to Sonic's idea, Rotor actually building the suit for Bunny, and I assume everyone else scrapped together the necessary materials. I do find it odd that Bunny said at times she wishes she was fully robotic so she can combat Robotnik. Other stories would bring up this idea, and Bunny would say being a robot, even partially, is a bad thing. It's either a situational thought, or writers not caring for continuity. You decide. I'm also giving this one an 8. The art by Art continues to be good, and Bunny does shine here. If you're wondering why Sonic got a sprained ankle from tripping, well, it shows the fastest thing alive can have an off moment that can cost him. Also, the comic's tone is more in line with Sad AM at the time. And with that, Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. It's amazing Rotor can make an iron suit using a bunch of scraps. Before long, he'll have a suit made of nanomachines.